So for the second part of the brake system repair, master cylinder repair, just to recap, in summary, so I have a leak in the front between the rubber hose, flexible pipe, and the steel pipe right at the connection. So my thinking is I can't see it. I haven't confirmed yet what I'm going to say, but I bet you that the problem is, I bet you that the threads between where the pipe and the hose join, I bet you that that's where well, that is, I've confirmed that that's where the leak is, but I bet you that that's the leak has occurred because of rust. So even though the pipes are all fine, there's certainly, over years of driving, the salt and water has fallen into that thread, into that joint there. I know that side is fine because I replaced that hose only a few years ago. But eventually, for the time being, I'm just going to repair this as is. But eventually I will switch all the brake lines to either copper, nickel, or stainless. And the rubber hoses, I will try to get them with stainless joints or brass. So this is the brake hose, and these joints here, these crimped fittings here, they're commonly made of steel, and I don't like that. So these are steel. I've seen some golden in color at Rock Auto, but I'm not sure if they're just plated or if it's just that goldish looking plating, whatever it is, or if it's actual brass. I'd love to get one that's actually stainless or at least brass. But for now, we're just going to replace it, and I'm just going to replace that part with copper nickel brake lines. But I'd just like to show you a quick tip here, give you a quick tip here. So the nut on the brake master cylinder, in this case it uses two different sizes. So on the back it's a 1/2 inch 20 thread. So 1/2 inch is, I guess, the diameter of the fitting, and then 20, I guess it means 20 threads per inch, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, it's called 1/2 inch -20. And it actually uses a 1/2 inch nut wrench. In this part here, it uses a 9/16 wrench. However, the 9/16 wrench was a bit loose. And when a wrench is fitted loosely against a nut, it tends to round it. It deforms, it moves around and it deforms it. So my trick here is to fit in a 14 millimeters. Use a metric wrench instead. So 14 millimeters is pretty damn close to 9/16. So I went ahead and I put, you have to sort of force it in. And I forced in that 14 millimeter nut, and as I can see, there's no more play. And that's the only way I was able to loosen this nut off. So I hope that helps somebody out there. I tried first with the 9/16, but it just rounded off the nut. It started rounding off the nut, so as soon as that starts to happen, you have to stop. And I managed to force that 14 millimeter, not a lot, just by hand. I just forced it in by hand. And sure enough, now the nut is loose. And as you can see, it's such a tight fit that it's difficult to remove by hand. There you go. And the second thing that I've done is, in order to test the master cylinder and to empty it out, I just do the test. I disconnected the line for the front, the one that was leaking, and I just put another pipe in instead that goes back into this bottle here. So as I'm pumping, the oil isn't going all over the place, it's just going back into the bottle. That saves the floor and the environment and some materials. Yeah, and then this part, I don't have to worry about leaks because there's some sort of clog inside there. So let me get my 9/16 wrench now and finish loosening that up. And as you will probably see, it will not leak because there's a clog. Not exactly sure where the clog is, but it's just, you just gotta you might as well replace everything, at this point. So that's the 9/16 wrench, and as you can see, there's a bit of play there. So maybe it's just, excessive tolerance, or rather lack thereof, lack of tolerance, and the size that the nut was actually produced. Or, it's surface rust, but it's pretty clean actually. I don't see any rust whatsoever on it. So I'm just going to assume that it was the way it was manufactured. I'm not exactly sure what the difference in size is between 9/16 and 14 millimeter, but it's not a lot. It's very close indeed. So again, the same idea applies to other wrenches. So 1/2 inch is pretty close to 13 millimeter. And again, I've used 13 millimeter in place of 1/2 inch at various occasions. In this case, 14 millimeters is slightly smaller than 9/16. And as you can see, there's no leak there. Just a bit of drip, that's all. And so now that the brake lines are disconnected, I'm going to proceed to remove the actual master cylinder itself, which shouldn't take too long. It looks like it's a 9/16 bolt at the back. So we'll give the 9/16 a chance. If not, I'll just try to. There's a bit of play, so let's see if I can get the 14 millimeter. And sure enough, I can, as you can see. Hopefully, yeah, you guys can see. It's a bit tough to remove here. I have to put a pipe over this wrench. I'm not sure a socket will fit or not. I might try that. I always used to tell my helpers, and I'll tell you this, if you're a novice, or maybe you've just never heard of this, but my advice is you never use wrenches unless you really have to. Sockets are always better. Okay, I got this bolt. It moved a little bit. Still very tight. It's coming out though. I will also replace these nuts with stainless if I can. I bet that this hasn't come out since ever. I bet it's never been removed. There is no leak at the back, by the way, so I know the rear seal is fine. Oh, that one is tight. Damn. I'm gonna try a socket. That 14mm socket fits right in. And that, as you can see, I didn't have to use half the force I was using with the wrench in order to get this nut loose. Just with the sockets and socket wrench, you've got a very it's much more stable and